This meeting is now being recorded.
Hey everyone, welcome to the call. It's Andy. We're talking today about starting better conversations. So let's begin. It's February 2001, and my group is in a bit of a pickle. We've just finished a dreadful rehearsal, our worst ever. Our confidence is shot, and our first improvisational show is in just a few days. Now, even if the only thing you know about improvisation is Drew Carey, you can imagine that lack of confidence in an improvisational show is a pretty serious problem. So our facilitator took a very novel approach. She stood us in a circle, and one at a time we had to turn to the person on our right and tell them one thing we admired about them and something specific they had done that had impressed us. Now, aside from the story I'm telling you right now, I remember practically nothing about that improvisational troupe. I know we did a show, but I couldn't tell you where. I don't remember being on stage or who else was in the troupe or who our leader was. I don't even recall the name of the person who was sitting to my left that particular day, but I wish I did, because I will never forget what that person said about me. They said, "Andy is great at playing regal characters." They told me that I was good at playing princes and kings. And the funny thing is that I had been trying to avoid playing those kinds of characters. It felt too easy, like a cop-out. I wanted to be more. But hearing that I was good at the regal characters gave me permission to embrace them, to regain my confidence in that strength, a crucial strength in a troupe that was called Myths and Legends, regal characters. Looking back, I find it hard to believe that I was resisting playing the very characters that are central to both myths and legends, princes and kings. Now, as I mentioned, I don't recall much about that improvisational troupe, but the two things I still remember vividly about that exercise. First, no one had any trouble at all naming the strengths of the other person. And second, everyone was surprised to hear their own strengths. Everyone else was surprised to hear their own strengths said out loud. And time and again, I find that people have a similar challenge with business networking. What they're good at, the very soul of their expertise, sounds too simple to them. So they go out looking for more, moving away from who they are in a desperate attempt to be something they're not. So it's no wonder people find business networking so frustrating, because what you do and what you're good at is so obvious to you, it's so ingrained in who you are, that it's hard to describe it simply to other people. So one of the goals today is to give you that similar kind of aha when you see your strengths. We're going to be doing a bunch of exercises that will help you take a look at your strengths and kind of see them through a much clearer lens. And when you combine that insight with some context for how and when to say it, and what you're actually trying to accomplish in business networking, you'll start more and better conversations no matter where you do your networking. Now, one of the big business networking challenges is that people think of the elevator pitch as a single skill. But I've actually found it easier and helpful to think of it as three distinct skills. And today we're going to improve our business networking results by learning a technique from each of the three elevator pitch skills. So I'll tell you what the skills are, then I'll give a description of each one, and then we'll get into the first technique. So the skills are answering what do you do, introducing yourself memorably, and following up effectively. So here's a quick description of each one. Answering what do you do is being fully prepared to answer the only three questions you'll ever be asked at any networking event. Today you'll develop a personalized, authentic, engaging answer to the most common and most dreaded question. You'll develop an answer that encourages further conversations with the right kinds of people. The second skill is introducing yourself memorably. And this is what's traditionally considered the 30-second elevator pitch. It's when you have 30 to 40 seconds to stand up and introduce yourself to a room full of people. Today we'll show you what's missing from 99% of 30-second elevator pitches and how and where you can add it so that you'll encourage the right people to come running up to you after you give your elevator pitch. And then thirdly, the third skill is follow up effectively. And follow up is so important because you don't ever make the sale in the elevator or at the networking event. And even the best elevator pitch only lays the foundation for the second conversation. And today we'll show you a simple yet powerful way to follow up with the right people in the right way without annoying them. So we have answering what do you do, introduce yourself memorably, and follow up effectively. The three skills we'll learn today will be enough to get you better results from business networking, and it's not complete. Now, I'll say I'm not selling anything today because you can't sign up for the Business Networking Boot Camp yet. I haven't opened up sales for that. What I want to do today is to give you a taste of what's possible. So you'll see what happens when you embrace who you are and communicate it effectively, because that's when business networking becomes fun and profitable. And for those of you who now want more, at the end of the webinar, I'll explain the additional advanced material in the boot camp, plus the bonus extras that will give you better results from your current networking events. There's actually no need to do more or additional networking, even if you don't think you're networking very much right now. Using these skills will get you better results in any networking situation that you find yourself. So once again, the three skills we're talking about are answering what do you do, introducing yourself memorably, and following up effectively. Let's start with answering what do you do. So in order to make sure you're fully prepared for your next networking event, we're going to arm you with a great answer to the most dreaded question in all of business networking. What do you do? And the answer is simpler than anyone thinks once you realize that it's more about the other person than about you. So many people work so hard on making their elevator pitch. I got to talk about myself. I got to talk about myself. But the goal isn't to talk about everything you do all at once. That's actually not the goal at all. It's quite the opposite, in fact. You want to get the other person talking. The goal of the elevator pitch is to get the other person talking to start a conversation. So from now on, what I'm going to suggest is when you're asked, what do you do, you'll answer in 7 words. That's right. We're going to say what we do in 7 words. And here are a few examples. I'll say that these examples are more toward the business side, but they work just as well on the job seeker side. I know we have some job seekers on the call as well today. And so it's a great activity. You know, what do you do in 7 words? Whether you're looking for a job or looking for more business, it works both ways. So I'm talking a lot about business, but everything we're talking about here applies to the job search as well. So here are some powerful examples of, you know, what do you do in 7 words? We're the good guys in the collection industry. Great, you know, very, very intriguing. I'm a lawyer's secret weapon. Wow, cool. We provide second stage growth capital and support. Very specific. See, they've taken there's a very narrow slice of things they're looking for there. It's a really great way of looking at it. What's next? I help business owners avoid identity theft. Well, it's a pretty hot topic these days. I'm a mobile accountant. I come to you. I like this one because you don't usually think about accountants being this kind of light and jaunty. So I think there's kind of nice. You get a nice sense of the personality from that. This next one, I'm known as the money man. I don't even know what this guy does, but it does sound intriguing. It does sound like the kind of thing you might want to learn more about. He might be valuable, right? So that's good. And then the last example for now is I help businesses stay in business. Again, just a real quick 7 words. Now, if you got a chance to download the worksheet, go ahead and grab it. And if you didn't, that's fine. That's fine. A blank piece of paper will work just as well. Just, you know, grab a piece of paper and a pen. And what I'd like to ask you to do is to write down your 7 words. I don't want you to think too hard about it. Just kind of write down what comes to mind. This is a great exercise for kind of seeing who it is you are and what you do. And what I'd like to encourage you to do is once you've written it down, go ahead and type it into the chat box. I can give some free coaching, and, you know, we can talk a little bit about what this looks like and how to say this in a way that gets you into the right kinds of conversations. So once again, I'm going to go quiet for about 30 seconds, let you write down the 7 words that are what you do. Talk about what you do in 7 words. Go ahead and send it to the chat box, and then we'll take a look at what we've got. Go ahead, everyone. Excellent. Good job, everyone. Okay, so keep typing in, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to go and talk about each one. People tend to like the coaching that I do on these kinds of programs, so I'm going to go back and coach folks on what's going on. You guys are doing a great job with it. So we'll start with Linda. She says, I build bridges over troubled career waters. And Linda, I like that. I get the sense from that you're probably a career coach kind of thing. I think that's being a little bit clever, a little bit too clever maybe, that, the bridge over troubled waters, I understand you're trying to do that, but I think, I help people find jobs, or I help people advance in their careers. I think something like that is even more succinct and is less parsing for the other person, right? I don't have to think too hard about it. Now, you're giving me a metaphor that I kind of have to think about, and it's better just to give it to people straight. Dawn says, I help people save time and money. Dawn, that's great. I'd like to ask you to think about what it looks like to save time for these people. Do you help people get more time with their family? Do you help people plan for retirement? What is it that, because everyone in business is looking to save time and money, and everybody who's looking for a job, in fact, is saving, you're going to save the employer time and money because they can do it faster with you. So I'd like to be a little more specific about how you're going to do that. Mike, I'm a technical manager and software developer. Now, I like that. I think that's great. That's very clear kind of thing. You might suggest. I might suggest it's one of those things that being both. It's the kind of thing. Anytime you say "and" in your elevator pitch, you weaken your message. So, Mike, I might suggest picking one. I'm a technical software manager or that kind of thing, because a lot of the technical managers can do software development as well. So you might, I'm a technical manager, and is there a particular kind of project you like working on or something like that? Jackie, I'm a hungry up-and-coming loan officer. Same kind of thing, Jackie. I'm not sure what hungry means here. I'm guessing you're probably a job seeker, but maybe you're looking for an opportunity with good loan officer training. I'd like to, you're looking to work in a bank. Like you can state those kinds of things. Again, this is what I'm saying. Like people are trying to talk about things in a way that you're just looking to be a loan officer. That's great. Hey, Terry, welcome to the call. Help brighten your day. That's great. I would include window cleaning in that somewhere, Terry. I know what Terry does. I've worked with Terry before. So I help brighten your day, through clean windows or something like that. I think that because again, brightening your day is a little bit vague. Like, why would I need to brighten my day? But I help brighten your day by providing clean windows. I provide treasury solutions and expertise. Great, Deidre. So help me a little bit with what treasury solutions are, right? 'Cause I don't, it's the kind of thing like you're in an industry and it means something to you, right? I don't know what treasury solutions means. Is it that you're doing budgeting? Is that you're minting money? That I'd like to see a little more description. Anytime you kind of try to describe generally what you do, it's more powerful if you just talk about it. I don't know what a treasury solution is, so if you can give me an example of that would be helpful. Linda, oops, that should be troubled. Bridge over troubled career water. Yeah, no, that's fine. I got that. That's fine. Arun, provide security CCTV solutions. I think that's great. That's very succinct. Not even 7 words. I think people get that. Well, I help people realizing their goals well in advance. Again, like realizing their goals and saving them time and money. These don't really set you guys apart. So I'd like to understand kind of what does realizing the goal look like for someone. I help people find their life partner, or I help people buy a home, or what is it if you can name the goal. That's always very helpful when you do this kind of thing. Sylvester, I manage complex technical solutions and people. Same kind of thing. You're on the right track there. That's good. I'd like to add, what is a complex technical solution? Like if there's something that you've worked on. My background's actually in software. I worked a lot on voicemail systems and trucking optimization kind of stuff. So, but again, complex technical stuff. What are you you program that kind of stuff? Are you a designer, or do you help QA it, and what do you mean by complex? You see what I'm getting at here? That we want to kind of take a look at. We want to take a look at what specifically you're working on. Bill, hey Bill, welcome to the call. Good to see you again. Again, Bill's someone else I've worked with before. You help managers match people to the right job. I like that, Bill. It's coming along. That's good. That's good. You're moving in a good direction there. That's good. Greg, help companies to manage projects. Again, what kinds of projects, right? I mean, what you're looking for is somebody to say, hey, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. And, no company is thinking, I need help managing projects. They're thinking about, hey, I need help shipping this piece of software that's due next week. Or, hey, I need help designing the next building we're putting up. A lot of different kinds of projects. So, I help companies manage software projects, I help companies manage building projects. Just kind of define a little more what you're looking at. Mike, some are, yeah, that's good feedback, Mike. Some are straightforward, while some are intriguing. It's one of those things that I think being intriguing isn't really the goal of the elevator pitch. Intriguing is good, but the way you be intriguing to people is if you can solve the kind of problem that they're talking about. And again, it's the kind of thing like the example we had earlier that, Linda's great example is, on the bridge over troubled career waters. I'm not sure anybody thinks of themselves as having trouble with career waters, right? I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like that's not the way the people that you're looking for are thinking. And people who are hiring, they're not necessarily looking for someone who can solve complex technical problems, right? They're looking for somebody who can design voicemail systems, or they're looking for somebody who can, can guarantee 99.9% uptime on a system, right? So you become intriguing by being detailed. That's kind of what I'm saying. So thank you, Mike, for calling that out. That it is good to be intriguing. And what I'm suggesting is the way you be intriguing to the right kinds of people is by being detailed about what you offer. And the other trap people fall into is if you're too intriguing, you end up in conversations, but they're not the right kinds of conversations. Right? A lot of people make hints at things, and then so people ask until they get until they understand what you're talking about, but that's not really a good conversation for your business or your career. You're looking to attract the people who can actually help you forward with this stuff. Great. So good work, everyone. This is this is the kind of work that you want to be doing. And again, for anybody who's struggled with their elevator pitch, we'll talk about the 30-second elevator pitch in a minute. But this is really the more common thing that you need. People walk up to you at a networking event and say, "What do you do?" And that's not the time to launch into your 30-second elevator pitch. That's the time to say something like this. Remember, we talked about that the elevator pitch is about starting conversations, and you can't start a conversation if you're doing all the talking. So what I recommend is come up with your 7 words. Right? I mean, I've given some ideas, and I'm sure people have some stuff written down. And so once you have the 7 words, use them. Anytime anyone asks you what do you do, use those 7 words, and then wait for a response. And what I'm going to suggest is you want to pay attention to the kind of responses that you get. You're looking for people to respond in a way that lets you talk about your expertise. And I will say that if you're doing this and the responses aren't what you're looking for, just shoot me an email. My email's all over this stuff you've been getting. So just shoot me an email with what you're saying and kind of what you're hoping for. I'll be happy to help you kind of quickly tune it. It's a very, very quick kind of thing. And it's a fun thing with the elevator pitch that you're looking for. If you know what you want them to say, we had someone chat earlier that you're looking for someone to ask for, how do you do that kind of thing. And that is actually a pretty good goal for the elevator pitch. And so if you know where the goal is, you can change the elevator pitch to get that kind of response out of people. So that's a good way of doing this. So again, as you use your 7 words, if the responses aren't coming back correctly, just let me know. The quick story I like to tell is that I used to say that I used improvisational acting techniques to help people in business. And when I said that, everyone wanted to talk about Drew Carey, which isn't a great subject for me if I'm looking for elevator pitch stuff. So that's the kind of thing I mean by the response, that you're looking to generate a particular response from people. And again, I'd be happy to kind of just work with you. But thanks for being on the call. I'd be happy to work with you on that. And one more thing, you won't expect to start a conversation with everyone, right? If you say your 7 words, this happens like you say your 7 words and there's no response, you're like, oh, it's not working. But remember that you're looking to start the conversations with the right people. You're not going to connect with everyone at whatever event you're at. So if people don't initially respond to your 7 words, a good non-awkward way to restart the conversation is to ask, so do you come to a lot of these kinds of events? Well, once again, so the question I like to ask is, so do you come to a lot of these kinds of events? Because it's a really natural way of getting someone talking about something they're comfortable talking about. And once you get the conversation started, you may well get another chance to get some questions from them or to talk a little more about what it is that you're doing. So right here we've covered the first technique, and what we're suggesting that you do is answer this "what do you do" in 7 words. And in the boot camp, you'll now want to develop an additional, equally powerful technique for answering "what do you do," plus create authentic, engaging, personalized answers to the only other 2 business networking questions you'll ever be asked. So again, this is what we've talked about here is one of the 3 questions that you can be asked, and a great way to answer it is these 7 words, remembering that the goal is to get the other person talking, right? If you do all the talking, you're not starting a conversation, you're not developing trust, you're not getting into the business networking set of things. So the goal is to develop those. And again, this is a great technique we learned here today. The 7 words. I use it all the time. A lot of my clients use it all the time. A great way of starting conversations. And in the boot camp, we talk about additional ways of doing that and also additional questions you can answer. So that's answering "what do you do." Now let's move on to introducing yourself memorably. And remember, this is the kind of stand and deliver thing. So that we're talking about when I talk about the 30-second elevator pitch, that's when you get to stand up in front of a room full of people, as opposed to what we just talked about when you're one-on-one with someone. This is more where you're introducing yourself to a room full of people. And the question I'll ask you to think about is, what is missing from 99% of elevator pitches? Well, I'll give you a hint. It is the number one reason that no one is running up to you eagerly afterwards. I didn't know the reason. So either you didn't ask them to, or you didn't give them a compelling enough reason. I'd like to remind everyone that you don't close sales at the networking event, right? That's not the purpose of business networking. The purpose of business networking is to develop relationships that continue on. And so the best value you get while you're networking is the contact information of someone who wants to hear from you. And once again, it's key that we think about the person that wants to hear from you, right? That's really what we're looking at. That you've got it's not just about collecting cards and getting as many contacts as you want. It's about finding people who are interested in talking to you. So the elevator pitch is the very first step in that process. And think about almost every elevator pitch that you've ever heard. What's the next step? Right? Someone stands up and gives their elevator pitch, and what is it that they want you to do next? What do they want people to do? No one has anything, and saying please contact me if you can use my services doesn't count. That doesn't count as this. Because remember, I want you to remember this is networking, not sales. And so the goal is to provide value. In fact, you want to provide enough value that they'll eagerly trade their contact information for that value, right? Because if you're not going to close the sale when you give your elevator pitch, you're going to need to contact this person. You're going to need to follow up later on, right? You're going to need to have some sort of additional conversation, and you can't get in touch with them again if you don't have their contact information. So a good goal when you're business networking is to have something you can trade that gives people value. And so, yes, what's missing from 99% of elevator pitches is a compelling call to action, something to do. You want to give people something to do that they're going to want to do. And a relatively straightforward way to do this, to provide this value that encourages people to hand you their contact information, is an approach I call the 7 biggest mistakes. And so what I'd like to ask you to do now is to grab your worksheet or piece of paper and thinking about your line of work and the people you want to talk to, again, whether you're looking for business or jobs or, what is it that, and by the way, for job seekers, think about how you set yourself apart from anyone else who's looking for a job. If you have some sort of white paper on the biggest mistakes people make on software projects or the biggest mistakes people make, when they're doing career coaching, it's amazing. So thinking about your line of work and the people you want to talk to, I'd like you to finish the phrase, I work with the seven biggest mistakes people make when they what? What are the mistakes that people are making when they're doing the thing that you're going to help them with? For me, it's the 7 biggest mistakes people make with their elevator pitch, or when they're business networking. The 7 biggest mistakes people make with their elevator pitch. So I'd like you to think about which one this is for you, and go ahead and write it down. Write it down on your piece of paper, and then again send it through the chat box. Let's take a look at kind of what people are coming up with. And once we have some ideas, we can talk about what you're going to do with now that you have this phrase, what you're going to do with it. So the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they Go ahead and write that down, and I'll go quiet for about 30 seconds, and so you can think about it and type it in. Okay, so yep, the exercise is, so we're asking, so think about the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they, whatever it is. So whatever it is that you're working on. Again, for me, it's the 7 biggest mistakes people make with their elevator pitch. But so in your kind of line of work or in the work that you're looking to get into, what kind of mistakes are people making when they do that thing? Okay, good job, everyone. Keep them coming. I'm going to start talking about them as you keep typing them in. You guys are exactly in the right pace. So, Linda, that's great. You know, the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they dislike their job or career. Again, I might suggest choosing either job or career, because again, anytime you have 2 things, it kind of dilutes your message. But you know, the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they dislike their job. That's a great thing. Bill, the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they select a person for a new position. Yeah, I might even say hire instead of select. I think that's more hire may make more sense to people, but yes, Bill, definitely. Dawn, 7 biggest mistakes people make when they clean their gutters or windows. Again, perfect. That's great. I would again suggest pick either gutters or windows. I don't know that you want to pick both. And I'll say again that when I ask people to choose, people get all nervous that they're removing options from themselves, right? Well, but I do both, so why? But remember, the elevator pitch isn't about a laundry list of things. Like that's not really the best approach. And if you say to people, we clean windows, if it's a natural question, they'll say, oh, do you clean gutters too? And look at what just happened there, right? You said something, and they responded in a way that qualified them, instantly qualified them for what they're interested in. So that's really the benefit you get when you pick a narrow slice like this. If you just pick one thing that you're going to talk about, and the document will be more interesting if you try to combine gutters and windows as different kinds of things. I think it'll be a more interesting document if you pick one or the other. Let's see. So good job. They're coming in so fast. That's good. So Deirdre, 7 biggest mistakes people make when they invest funds for the short term. I'd like to read that one. Please forward that over when you've written that. I'll tell you what we're doing in that in a minute. Janet, I'm not sure when there's something about instructional design in there, so I figure you're still working on that. The 7 biggest mistakes people make when they're pushing our service instead of knowing their real problem. Well, that is, I am intrigued by that. I think there's something in there. Now, again, I'd want to know what the service is versus what the real problem is. Again, when people have these words, a lot of elevator pitches contains a lot of words that sound good, knowing their real problem, but it doesn't really give me anything to hang on to. Like, what is their real problem? Do they have a leak in their roof? Do they have an unruly kid? Like, there are a lot of real problems that people could have, and if you name the problem for people, it helps them attach it to their situation much more easily. The 7 biggest mistakes people make when they fail to develop their team. Yeah, that's great. Linda, If I use job or career, depends on who I'm talking to. Right, and that's fine, Linda. You can. What we're going to talk about in a second is actually writing this document. So you could write 2 documents, and that would be fine. But I think that there'll be one that'll stand out to you that'll be either easier to write or kind of more useful. I mean, I actually might suggest the job one because there are plenty of people who dislike their job, and so that's the kind of thing, people, some parent might take that for, oh, my kid hates their job. Yeah, I'd love to get that article. That's a good way of kind of getting in with people. Whereas career, people aren't always as unhappy with their career. 7 big mistakes people make when they promise low margins in business. I mean, that sounds good. Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting paper. Mike, 7 big mistakes people make when they design software. Awesome. Again, I'm a software guy by training. I haven't done that in years, but sounds like a great thing. I'd love to see what you think of those mistakes are. 7 big mistakes people make when they choose a bank to finance their home. Great. Yeah. Wonderful. I think that would be a very interesting. I think that'd be a very interesting article. Terry, the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they clean their own windows. Yes, near and dear to my heart. That's great. I mean, what an incredible thing. It's so yes, you guys are all directly on track. That's exactly what you're doing. So now that you've got this, now that you've got the thing that now that you know what the 7 biggest mistakes are, what I'm suggesting is that you write it. And I'm not talking about a treatise. I'm thinking about something that's 400 to 600 words, right? It's not really that long. A lot of people think, oh, there's no way to write that, but you do. I mean, this is something that's within your expertise. And if you sit down and think about it, you can come up with 7 things, and you can kind of talk about, you give a sentence or 2 on what the problem is, and a sentence or 2 on kind of how people can address it, and then you have something that's valuable that you can give to people. And I'll show you mine. I mean, I did this exercise a couple of years ago. The 7 biggest elevator pitch mistakes. I wrote it. It's a 652 word document, I think. And it is the most popular post on my blog. I get the most clicks on this than on anything else. And my most clicked tweet. When I tweet 7 biggest mistakes, people are all over it. So my suggestion is to take the hour or 2 or 3 that it takes you to write it. Depending on how fast you are writing. Just go ahead and write a document. And again, if you've written it and you're not sure, just email it to me. I'll be happy to look at it for you, give you some feedback. Not a problem. But remember, when you write the document, you're not going to print it out. This is not something you bring to the event and hand to people because we want the contact information. So you don't hand this to anyone. So instead, whatever you're using for your elevator pitch now, at the very end of it, you want to add your call to action, which is going to get you these contacts, going to get you these people coming up to you to talk to you. And you say, and if you're interested in avoiding the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they clean their own windows, just hand me your card and I'll be happy to email you our free white paper. And so I'll say that again for you. So, you say your elevator pitch, whatever it is that you're saying, and at the end of it, the very end of the elevator pitch, you say, and if you're interested in avoiding the 7 biggest mistakes people make when they are developing their team, just hand me your card and I'll email you our free white paper. Because the people that come up to you and give you their card are interested in some level at the thing that you're talking about. And look what just happened. You got their contact information, and they're looking forward to hearing from you. You started a conversation, right? This is what business networking is all about. You've got people who are interested in what you have to offer, and they're coming to you. They're coming to you for information. So you have a chance to get in front of them that way. So you write this document. You can leave it as a document and turn it into a PDF. You can put it on your website. You can send people a link to it. However technically you want to do it is fine. But I really recommend this. And then you started a conversation with someone. You can send them the paper. You can call them a couple of days later, say, hey, see if they had any questions. Right? It's very natural kind of follow up for something that they now know they want. And I think one of our job seekers talked about, when they design software. Imagine a software designer. Imagine walking into an interview with a document you wrote on the 7 biggest mistakes people make when designing software. Right? It sets you worlds apart from any other job seeker they've ever seen. I interviewed people for years. No one ever came to me with anything like that. So it's the kind of thing you can use, both as you're job seeking and as you're out looking for business. So now you have a compelling call to action, and this is one of the 3 elements of a 30-second elevator pitch. In the boot camp, you'll now want to learn all three elements will show you some even more powerful ideas for your call to action. Plus, you'll develop a personalized and authentic power question and client success story. Then, again, in the boot camp, we'll show you how you put that all together into a pitch that generates 3 to 5 leads for every 40 people you've got in the room. So you create an elevator pitch. You put these three elements together. You can expect 3 to 5 people will approach you. For every 40 people in the room, 3 to 5 people will approach you for whatever reason it is that you're giving them the call to action. Great, everyone. All right, how's everyone doing? Just stretch out for a second. You guys are doing great. We're moving right through this. So we've done 2 of the 3 techniques now. We've talked about answering what do you do with just 7 words and then letting the conversation start. We've talked about introducing yourself memorably by offering a compelling call to action and some value in exchange for someone's contact information. Now, business networking is kind of fun. You know, this is kind of fun stuff to be working on. So let's talk now about effective follow-up. And the technique that I'm going to talk to you today about for effective follow-up is a technique that I call Pick 3. And I love this pumpkin patch picture here because, you know, if you get to a networking event and you're looking at this sea of people and kind of what is it that you're trying to do. And what I recommend to people is what I call the Pick 3 technique. So I got a great observation from someone who was in a program of mine before. So by the time I get back, in terms of business networking, collecting business cards, so by the time I get back to my desk, I've often forgotten who all those people were and why I might be interested in contacting them again. And she's absolutely right. I mean, this is why I suggest to people that you really don't want to collect business. I suggest collecting business cards is a huge waste of time. And it's why people procrastinate making those follow-up calls. I'm sure there are some people on the call here who have a stack of business cards on their desk and they're feeling guilty for not making those calls. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to feel guilty. No, there's nothing to follow up with there. If you just collected cards from people, they're not going to expect to hear from you. You know, they don't feel like legitimate leads, and they aren't. And remember that you aren't looking for leads. You're looking for people who you can get to know and trust and who can introduce you to good leads for yourself. The challenge is that you can't always know who those people are just by looking at them. You know, how do you know that person in front of you is going to return your calls? And there's a very simple answer to this. You don't. You have no idea, not ahead of time anyway, which is why we don't try to predict the results. What we're doing is running this process. I see there's some window cleaning folks on the call, and you know, in our window cleaning business, a big challenge we have is hiring window cleaners, and the process itself, so I have to show up 3 days in a row as part of the interview process, and that always seemed wasteful to me when I first started, because why not just do it all in one day? But the thing is, there's plenty of people who call you on the phone and say they're going to show up and then don't show up, and there's plenty of people who show up the first day but then don't show up the second day, and there's plenty of people who make it through the second interview but then don't show up for their first day of work. And I don't really claim to understand this. I just know that it's true. And so, and we're doing the same thing in business networking. We're weeding people out. So what I suggest is when you go to a networking event, that you look for 3 people you enjoy talking to, because that's really the key. You're going to be talking to them for a little. You're going to try to get to know them. So you look for people you enjoy talking to, and then you pick 3 of them and you send them a particular message. You do this either by phone or email. You say, I enjoyed meeting you this morning or yesterday or whatever it was. I would like to sit down for coffee to explore how we can help each other grow our businesses. That's the key. Like, that's what's in it for them, right? This is another value proposition you can offer people. You're trying to work together. You'd like to find referrals for them. You're hoping they can find referrals for you. You're going to help each other with this. And then I always like to say, you know, let me know if you have time next Tuesday morning or Thursday afternoon. You know, depending on my schedule. I like to give people, again, the world of options isn't helpful if you can kind of nail it down for people. And you know what? If they can't make either of those, they'll come back and suggest something else. But the thing I'll warn you about is that I do this all the time. When I go to a networking event, I pick 3 people. I send this email to each one of them, and 1, maybe 2 people reply. There's always one person who I never hear from again. And I know a lot of people get frustrated about that. I need to network with that person, but you know what? If they're not going to respond to an email that you send, if they're not going to respond to this email, they're not going to send you referrals. You know, they're not going to take good care of referrals that you send over to them right? You're looking the same way in our window cleaning business. We're looking for people who can show up and do the work. In your work, you're looking for people who are going to show up and work with you, right? You're looking to develop these long-term relationships where you can pass information back and forth. So the thing I recommend is working with the people who respond, right? Part of the process is that you send it out to 3 people so that 1 or 2 respond, and you meet with those 1 or 2 people. And to me, this really narrows the nebulous part of business networking down to something very practical, right? You go to a networking event, you have a bunch of you use your 7 words to conversations, and you use your 7 biggest mistakes to initiate contact with people, and then you pick 3 people you like, and you set up one-on-ones, and that's all you need to do. Like, if you do that, you're way ahead of everyone else. That will generate lots and lots of opportunities for you. So that's the thing. There are a bunch of people out there who, for whatever reason, won't connect with you right now, and that's fine. If it's at all difficult to schedule a coffee with them, you can imagine what it's going to be like getting hold of them when you actually have someone to talk to them, and you can think about how likely they are to actually send you any kind of work. So now you know, and that's the thing. I mean, you can't know when you meet them. You only know over time. And there are a bunch of people I met early on in my networking career that I didn't think much of, but over the course of the next couple of years, we saw each other occasionally, and we'd meet occasionally, go to a Red Sox game together, whatever it was. Over time, it turned into good referral sources. That's kind of where we're going through. So I encourage you. So the third exercise we'll do on your sheet or on your sheet or a piece of paper. What I'd like to do is think about the 3 most interesting people. If you went to an event recently, pull out those cards, pick the 3 most interesting people. If you're not networking, you still know 3 people. They're kind of business acquaintances. There's someone you could go out to coffee with. And I encourage you to kind of write down, and we're not going to share these to the chat box, but I encourage you to take a minute and write down kind of the names of 3 people that you're like, you know what, it'd be good to catch up with that person. And these aren't really friends necessarily. They're more like business acquaintances, people that you run into that, may or may not have something for you, but you'd like to get to know them better, or you already kind of know them and you'd like to get to know them better. So it's a good idea to kind of keep that going. So pull out your worksheet, go ahead and write down 3 names, and send them this email this afternoon. I'd like to sit down for coffee and see how we can help each other, advance our career, grow our business, whatever it is, and see who responds. And again, if you have any questions about this, feel free to email me. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to think about those names and write them down, and then we'll continue on. Excellent, good. So 2 things. The first is, Ralph, thanks for the comment. Let me know, giving the alternative choice. Yes, I mean, like with the pumpkin patch, I find that giving people, saying to someone, hey, would you like to get together sometime, doesn't really move it forward. If you give them options and they can respond, it's very easy to look at their calendar and respond to those options. So that's why I like to give that choice. The second thing is, so I suggested that you contact people and set up a one-on-one. Although I haven't really talked about what you do in the one-on-one. If you hang on the call for a couple more minutes, I'll talk to you. I do have a program called Effective One-on-Ones that I'll send you a free link to. I'll tell you how you can get access to that in just a couple of minutes. But if you're going through this and you're like, but what do I say and what would I do and why would I do this? If you aren't sure about that, you'll love this program. So just hang on for a couple of minutes and I'll show you how to get a link to that program. So now we've talked about effective follow-up, and I'd like to go back quickly let's quickly review the 3 skills that we worked on today. The first skill was answering what do you do, and we're answering that with 7 words, and the discipline there is then we wait for the other person to say something. And if they don't say anything about our 7 words, we can start the conversation with, do you come to a lot of these kinds of events? And you need to talk to a bunch of people, like you kind of get a sense of how people are responding to that thing you're saying. So answering what do you do. The second is introduce yourself memorably. And you do that by creating something of value, like a 7 Biggest Mistakes white paper, for their contact information. You know, a lot of people think of collecting business cards as making the connection, but grabbing someone's business card doesn't make a connection. What you want to do is make the connection. And once you've got a connection, you can exchange business cards, and then it'll mean something. And again, like, you know, if the connection is that they want to learn more about the 7 biggest mistakes you're talking about, that is a way of connecting with them. So that's really what we're talking about. And then we talked about effective following up effectively, which is inviting 3 people to a one-on-one. So no matter what kind of thing, for folks who go to job fairs or you go to job networking groups, pick 3 people and sit down. I mean, you never know what ideas you might come up with talking to people like that. That's the trouble with business networking, that it's hard to know what the point is. But I'm here to tell you that the point is to sit down with people and get to know them better. And as you get to know them better, and as they get to know you and trust you, more and more opportunities start to show up. So we've done all this stuff. What's next? I mean, we've talked about business networking being a process, and your elevator pitch is definitely a process too. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to fill out a quick evaluation. I'd appreciate your candid feedback because it helps me get better at what I do. And on that evaluation are 3 check boxes for free resources that will help you get better at business networking. So the first is the webinar recording. I am recording what we're doing here. There's great value in listening to it again. We've covered a lot of ground today. There's a lot of good ideas, a lot of good coaching in there. I suggest listening to it a couple of times over the next week or two. Just kind of get your head around what we're talking about. So on the evaluation, there are a couple of questions for you to answer, and then you could just check that box. I'll be sure to send the webinar recording. It's usually available within about a week, hopefully sooner, but almost definitely within a week. So the next thing is the complete guide to the 30-second elevator pitch. It's a document, a little more involved document that I wrote that takes everything we've covered today and more. It's kind of the complete guide. It talks about the conversational pitch versus the formal pitch, goes a little more into depth on the stuff we talked about today. So again, if you check that box, I'll send that right along to you. And then as I talked about, there's the effective one-on-ones video. It's similar to this program. It's a webinar that I did. Same kind of interactive webinar sort of thing, but puts one-on-ones in a little bit of context for you, kind of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, what kinds of questions you can ask, how to ask those questions in a way that moves the conversation forward. I get great feedback from anyone who watches this video. They love it, and it makes everything make a lot more sense. So again, if you go ahead and check off the box, I'll send that right off to you. And of course, I do offer some programs. I'll just quickly say those in case anyone on the call is interested in them. I do offer straight-on coaching. The couple of folks that I coach are on the call now, and I do a lot of short-term and long-term coaching for folks on business networking. I also offer if you're the kind of person you like working with a coach, you need someone to kind of help motivate you. That's always an option. For those of you who like kind of studying on your own, at your own pace, in your own way, I have put together a home study course. It's a 3-week course, but you can take as long or as short as you want. But a whole series of things goes into a lot more depth of the kind of stuff we talked about today. So that's always an option. There's the boot camp that's coming up, and again, after the evaluation, if you're interested in that, we'll do a Q&A session, and I can talk a little more about the boot camp. People have questions about that or want to hear more about filling out some of these skills that we talked about today. And I also, the elevator pitch. There were 3 skills in the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is one of the 5 skills of the trusted advisor. So I have Becoming a Trusted Advisor program that I'm actually renovating for fall. I'm going to be launching a big program in the fall. And so if part of your goal is to become a trusted advisor, it's useful for so many things. But if you're interested in that, just check off those boxes as well. So again, in a moment I'm going to put up an evaluation. I appreciate you filling it out candidly. It helps me do better at what I do. And as a thank you to you, I'll send you all sorts of free stuff once you fill it out. Just let me know what you'd like. And if you're interested in some of the more involved programs, go ahead and check those off too. And what we'll do now, I'll put the evaluation up, and I'll give you a couple minutes to take care of that. And then we'll go straight into kind of a Q&A. We'll talk about the boot camp. We'll talk about whatever questions you may have from anything we talked about today or anything about business networking. So as you're filling, if you've got questions, go ahead and type them into the chat box. I'll give you a few minutes to fill out the evaluations, and then we'll just start doing Q&A, and we can talk about the boot camp and all that kind of stuff. So here comes the survey. Okay, the survey's up now, so you go ahead and fill that out. I would really appreciate it. And once we got a couple of those in, and once people start throwing in, once people start putting in questions, we will launch into our Q&A section. Great, thank you, everyone. Surveys are pouring in. I'll give people a couple more minutes minute or so more to finish. I mean, no rush, but I'll give people a minute more to finish up, and then we'll launch into our Q&A. All right, thank you, everyone. Just putting in the surveys. You can keep working on those. Well, we can. I'll start talking while you're working on those. Just go ahead and keep those, especially if you'd like the webinar recording or the complete guide or anything. Just make sure you fill that out so that I can make sure to send that over to you. And I don't see any questions coming in, so if you do have questions, go ahead and put those in. But what I'll do now is start talking a little bit about the Business Networking Bootcamp. The Business Networking Bootcamp, it's a 90-minute interactive webinar. You've actually experienced a lot of what it's like, except that the bootcamp's a little bit more intensive, and I keep it smaller. I only accept 24 people into the bootcamp so that I have enough, make sure I have enough time to work with everyone. It's the kind of thing that the goal of the bootcamp is that by the end of it, you've got everything. You know everything you need to know about the 3 skills. And again, the 3 skills that the bootcamp covers are: you have a personalized, authentic, engaging answers to what do you do. There are actually 3 questions you can be asked: how's it going, what do you do, and how do you do that? And so the bootcamp takes you step by step. The same kind of exercise we did today takes you step by step through developing those answers for yourself through the right kind of thing. The right kind of thing. So it's not something that feels like you. You know, I work with so many people who don't feel like they sound like themselves. And again, I've developed a bunch of exercises that help you really nail down who you are. And you know what we're going to be talking about sounds like a lot to cover in a 90-minute webinar, but it's not. Like it moves pretty quickly, and it's not as complicated as everyone thinks it is. So you develop the answers to what you do. You develop a complete customized 30-second elevator pitch. All 3. We're going to develop your power question. We're going to develop your client success story. We're going to develop your compelling call to action. We'll show you how to put it all together. And when I give my elevator pitch now, I expect 3 to 5 people to approach me. There's already 40 people who are in the room. I expect 3 to 5 people to approach me. My clients have the same kind of results. They they go out. We work on an elevator pitch. They go out. They use it, and stuff starts to happen. So you can people say that business networking takes time, and that's true. I mean, it does take time to get to know people. But the other side of that is that when your elevator pitch is really effective, when you've got something that really works, you'll get leads immediately. Like you don't need to wait for, the people talk givers gain, but that's really just an excuse for not having an elevator pitch that's working. And when your elevator pitch works, you will get leads. People will come up to you and want to hear more about it. And so as part of this boot camp, we developed that for you. Come up with all three elements, how to put it together, get that all set for you. So you know exactly what you want to say every time you have to introduce yourself to a crowd. And then follow-up techniques that inspire people to call you. I know so many people who are sitting around waiting for the phone to ring, and at some level you do have to follow up by reaching out to people. Like there is some of that work. But I've noticed in my work, I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years now, and I get a lot of calls of people who just know I'm an elevator pitch coach, and they're looking for someone to come speak to the networking group, or they know someone who just started a business and needs some help with that. And so I get a lot of incoming referrals. I get a lot of incoming referrals out of that. So the follow-up, you need to do your follow-up, but as you get to know people, the stuff starts to happen more and more automatically. It doesn't mean you won't follow up, but we'll show you the techniques to keep in touch with people, to keep the relationships going, to make sure you deepen those relationships. So that's the boot camp. Now, the boot camp also, so the other side of this is, can you learn everything you need to learn in 90 minutes? Well, of course not. I mean, I cover everything in 90 minutes, but sometimes it takes a little longer to take it all down. So the boot camp it also comes with 30 days of unlimited email support with me. You send me any kind of email, any kind of question. You're out doing your stuff, you're developing things, any kind of email. I'm also including a 30-minute phone Skype coaching call. And if you prefer, you can do that as 2 15-minute calls. You get 30 minutes of time with me on the phone. So if you're working on something, you get a question about something, you get a coaching. The boot camp comes with a coach, includes a coaching session for whatever you want to use it for. It could be your elevator pitch, it could be something more general about business networking, it could be about some of the trusted advisor skills, whatever it is. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Comes with a complete copy of the home study course. So it gives you, we work through everything in the boot camp, and you have some additional material you can work on from the home study course. So the home study course itself is $129. Actually, the boot camp is less than that. So, but I'm including the copy of the home study course in with the boot camp. I also have there's a new ebook coming out. You get an advanced copy of that. It's effective follow-up. It's effective follow-up techniques. Again, very, very popular techniques. It's the kind of thing. How do you follow up without annoying people? That's what this book is about. So that's where we go with that. And it also, of course, you get the webinar recording, so you can go back and listen to the boot camp. And of course, with only 24 people, I can spend a little more time with each person who's on the call. You can go back and kind of listen to what the coaching was, listen to coaching for the other people. Helps you get through all of that stuff. So that's the boot camp. So as I said, you can't actually sign up for this yet. There's only 24 slots, and so to make it fair, next Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time is when it opens up. And if you filled out your survey and wanted information on that, then you'll get notice. You get early bird notice when that goes. The early bird tickets go on sale next Wednesday. So if you request more information, I'll send you more information about that. But that's so that's the business networking boot camp. Again, it's going to be in May. It's a 90-minute webinar, kind of in this format, just a little more intensive, and again, fewer people. So if if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me or watch for the email that comes that has more information about it. And we're pretty much up at the hour now, so I haven't seen any questions come through. I'll hang out for another minute or so. If you've got a question about the boot camp or anything we've talked about today, feel free to pass that through. Otherwise, we will. I'll give it a minute to see if anyone has anything they want to talk about. And otherwise, if you haven't filled out the survey, go ahead and finish filling out the survey, and we will do that. Good. Questions are coming in. So, yeah. So the boot camp, the early bird for the boot camp is $99. That's the price for the 90 minutes plus everything I just talked about. And again, that goes on sale next Wednesday morning. Mike, is the boot camp in person? No, it's a webinar like this one, Mike. So it's almost exactly this. It's almost exactly this. It's almost exactly this format. Again, just a few fewer people on the call, and it'll be a little. It's a little more intensive. We're doing a little more focused work on it, and it comes with it comes with all the follow-up stuff as well. But so the boot camp is a webinar, so it's the same kind of thing. Like we just you see the phone and the computer, and you can be there. Bill, thank you. Always good to see you. Sylvester, great. I'll send you the one-on-one video. You'll expect to see an email from me within the next week or so. It'll have all the stuff, all the videos and everything coming out. That's when that'll come out. Great. Anything else, folks? I'll happy to stick around as long as people have questions. Great. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure working with you. Again, if you have any other questions about the boot camp, go ahead and let me know, or just email me, or and again, the sign-up start next Wednesday morning. You'll get if you requested it, you get an email reminder when the program opens up. So once again, thanks. If you haven't filled out the survey yet, please go ahead and do that before you sign off. It's great working with everyone. I look forward to working with you sometime in the future. Thanks, everyone. Bye.